In the New World, humans coexist with a wide variety of savage and colossal monsters. A group of warrior hunters, trained to track and slay these powerful creatures, sails under the command of the admiral toward a mysterious sky portal tower. Suddenly, a Diablos, a massive horned subterranean beast, erupts from beneath the sands, attacking their ship and throwing everyone to the floor. The admiral rushes to the wheel, desperately trying to keep the vessel from collapsing, but the monster smashes the boat and kills one of the hunters. In the chaos, another hunter is knocked overboard and separated from the team. Meanwhile on Earth, U.S. Army Ranger Captain Artemis and her United Nations security team search for a missing squad in the desert. They encounter a soldier named Link, who shows them the trail of the missing men, only for it to vanish abruptly. While trying to make sense of it, a violent storm begins to form. The team rushes to drive away, but the storm overtakes them. Suddenly, the marked stones around them spark with blue light, dragging the soldiers off a cliff and into a swirling portal. They crash land in the New World, a desert of white sands. Disoriented, the team quickly realizes they are far from home. Their map is useless, GPS is dead, and even their compass is fried. As they push forward, they discover the charred remains of the missing soldiers, melted sand turned to glass, bullet casings scattered across the dunes, and bodies missing. Uneasy, they decide to move out, though Dash insists something is terribly wrong. Watching from a cliff, a lone hunter observes the group. As the soldiers reaches a stock of massive monster bones, the hunter fires a chalk dust signal, warning them. Mistaking him for a threat, the squad opens fire, but Artemis halts them when she senses something else is coming. At that moment, the Diablos burst from beneath the sands, charging at high speed. The soldiers unleash their weapons, but the monster smashes through their jeeps and scatters the group. It kills one squad member instantly. Artemis and the others keep firing as they try to escape, but when Link attempts to fire an RPG, the beast counters, flipping their vehicle. Another soldier sacrifices himself by opening a belt of grenades, detonating them as the Diablos strikes. The survivors flee toward a cave, but the monster relentlessly pursues them, collapsing rocks along the way. The hunter fires on the beast, but his attacks barely scratch it. The soldiers make it into the cave, where the monster cannot enter, and unleash heavy fire until it retreats. Inside, Dash begins to break down in fear, but Artemis steadies her. Suddenly, a swarm of giant spider-like monsters called Nersillas attack. One injects Artemis with paralyzing venom. The squad tries to save her, but the horde overwhelms them, forcing the survivors to abandon Artemis as they run. Immediately, the monsters swarm the survivors, chasing them relentlessly. From a hilltop, the hunter provides cover fire, shooting at the creatures to help the group. But when the monsters begin to close in on him, he flees. In the chaos, Marshall is killed instantly, leaving only Dash and Link alive. Inside the cave, Artemis awakens to the echo of Dash and Link's screams. Suddenly, a Nersilla ambushes her. Later, she regains consciousness in the Nersilla lair, where she discovers Dash, already dead. Horrified and desperate to survive, Artemis decides to escape. She gathers what flames and bullets remain in her bag and presses forward. Along the way, she finds Link alive, but gravely wounded. She lifts him onto her shoulder, unaware that he carries something far worse. Moments later, Link's stomach ruptures. The monster had implanted eggs inside him, and a swarm of young Nersillas erupts from his body. Artemis reacts instantly, setting the creatures on fire before sprinting for a narrow escape hole. A monster latches onto her and drags her back, but she kicks it away and hurls bullets onto its body, sparking an explosion that buys her a chance to crawl out. Now the last survivor of her squad, she escapes into the daylight, safe for the moment, because the Nersillas fear the sun. Exhausted, she retrieves a small container holding her cherished ring, clutching it for comfort. Using bullet powder, she cauterizes a wound on her leg. Later, she climbs to the top of a hill, only to realize she is stranded in the middle of an endless desert. Testing the ground, she throws a rock into the sand, and instantly, a Diablos bursts out, proving the wasteland is lethal. Searching for another way, Artemis ventures around the rocky terrain. From above, the hunter secretly observes her. She stumbles into an eerie arena littered with wrecked ships, searching in vain for water. Inside one wreck, she hears a strange sound, only to be confronted by the hunter. Silent and suspicious, he presses a blade to her throat, and the two erupt into a brutal fight. Blows, kicks, and blades are exchanged until Artemis manages to stab him with his own knife. The hunter retaliates, knocking her unconscious and dragging her away. At nightfall, with the Nersillas swarming, the The hunter ties Artemis and brings her into his fortified chamber. He drinks water but refuses to share, convinced she is an enemy. As the creatures crawl and scratch outside, the hunter tends to his wounds and prays for reunion with his people. Meanwhile, Artemis secretly works to cut her bonds. By morning, she manages to turn the tables, knocking him out and binding him. But when she tries to drink from his bowl, he snaps, and they clash again in a violent brawl that spills outside. Both roll dangerously close to the Nerscylla nest. The hunter nearly falls in, but Artemis saves him, cutting his ropes and declaring they don't need to fight. As a gesture of peace, she offers him her last piece of chocolate. Amused and softened, the hunter accepts, then shares his water. Reluctantly, they agree to work together. Their uneasy alliance is tested at the edge of the desert. The hunter explains that the sky tower across the sands holds the portal home, but Diablos stands in their way. Artemis suggests retrieving grenades from the crash site, but the hunter insists it's futile. Instead, he reveals their plan. They must kill Diablos using Nerscylla poison. That night, they set their trap. Artemis lures a Nerscylla by singing, drawing it out of the ground. It lunges for her, only to be ensnared by a rope trap. As it slashes wildly at Artemis, the hunter leaps from above with his massive blade, slicing the creature apart and carving out its venom gland. They escape with their prize as more Nerscyllas swarm from the lair. Safe in their chamber, Artemis begins teaching the hunter how to pronounce her name from her military badge. Outside, the monsters claw and screech, swarming the cave once more, while the uneasy partners prepare for the greater battle that lies ahead. The next day, the hunter prepares a poisoned arrow while he and Artemis set a massive trap to distract the Diablos long enough to reach the grenades. Artemis quickly learns how to fire rope arrows and wields the hunter's twin blades, which channel bursts of fiery magic when struck together. The plan begins. Artemis shoots a container to lure the Diablos, and they sprint for the grenades. The monster burrows beneath them, splitting their path. Artemis races toward the weapons while the Diablos slams the hunter down. He fires his poisoned arrow into its eye, but the beast counters, whipping him with its tail. Artemis unloads her rifle until her bullets run dry. The blinded Diablos lunges, forcing her to detonate an explosive, but it barely slows the beast. It hurls her and a wrecked car aside. Just as the monster closes in, the hunter leaps onto its back, stabbing between its horns before being thrown off, badly injured. Artemis grapples onto the beast with her rope arrow, drives the blades deeper into its skull, and with one final strike, kills the Diablos. Determined to reach the sky tower, Artemis salvages parts of the monster to craft a stretcher, hauling the wounded hunter across the desert. At nightfall, a storm forces them into a tent for shelter. The next morning, they arrive at an oasis populated by giant tortoise-like apsaros. Suddenly, a monster attacks Artemis, but the hunter kills it instantly. Later, he roasts meat for them to share, while Artemis rests. That night, a deafening roar awakens them. A fire-breathing rat halos soars overhead, driving the apsaros into a stampede. One beast slams into Artemis, nearly crushing her, until a mysterious warrior, the admiral, emerges, redirecting the creatures with his massive sword. Artemis joins him in forcing the herd away, while the hunter is rescued at the cliff's edge by more of the admiral's warriors. Afterward, Artemis thanks the admiral, but instead of accepting, he knocks her unconscious. She awakens in a cage aboard their ship. The hunter refuses to acknowledge her, and when she tries to sneak into the galley for a weapon, she's chased out by the admiral's feline chef, the meowscular cook. Finally, the hunter brings her before the admiral, who admits he misjudged her. He explains his fears that Artemis's world could one day attack theirs, as his people have already suffered at the Sky Tower. It is here that Artemis learns the admiral can speak English. The admiral reveals that the Sky Tower is the remnant of an ancient civilization, built as a gateway between worlds and guarded by monsters. That's how Artemis and her team ended up here. Among these beasts, the most dangerous is the rat halos, the Sky Tower's guardian. Nearly impossible to kill, its only weakness lies in the split second before it breathes fire. The admiral promises to help Artemis return home if she joins them in slaying the monster. The next night, their team marches to the Sky Tower, where the unstable portal to Earth is already forming. Suddenly, the rat halos strikes, burning one of the warriors alive and scattering the others. The admiral draws its attention, barely surviving its fire, while Artemis and the hunter emerge to fight. The hunter launches arrows as Artemis hacks away with her blazing blades, but the rat halos proves overwhelming. Amid the chaos, the portal stabilizes. Artemis stabs the rat halos in the mouth but is thrown off, falling through the gateway, landing back on Earth. A rescue team quickly finds her, loading her into a plane, but the portal doesn't close in time. The rat halos burst through, crashing the aircraft and slaughtering the soldiers with streams of fire. Reinforcements arrive, but are torn apart just as easily. Artemis grabs a weapon and fights back, managing to wound its wing. But the beast keeps coming. As it prepares another fire blast, she fires an explosive straight into its mouth, igniting it from within and bringing the monster down. But the rat halos isn't finished. It rises again, ready to kill Artemis, until the hunter suddenly appears, unleashing a barrage of explosive arrows that finally bring the beast down for good. Exhausted, Artemis and the hunter share a smile of relief. The admiral soon joins them, just as a new threat looms, the terrifying Gore Magala swooping down from the skies. The admiral warns that as long as the sky tower remains, monsters will continue to cross into Earth. With no time to lose, Artemis, the hunter, and the admiral leap forward together, weapons raised, as the battle for both worlds continues. The movie ends. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.